Okay, here we are, day 2. Because it takes so long to do these, we like to do it in a 2-day process. We do the meat and the chili the first day, and then we assemble the tamales, make the masa, and assemble the tamales the next day. So here we are, day 2. I'm wearing my Oregon Duck t-shirt because my son goes to the University of Oregon. Go Ducks! And she's wearing her UCLA because our cousin goes there. She's a softball player at UCLA.
Go Jazz.
So go Jazz, go Bruins. So anyway, day 2, we're going to start with the tamale. We're going to start with the masa, and then we'll show you how to assemble. So this, in my opinion, I don't know about yours, but my opinion probably matters the most. So in my opinion, this is the hardest part. And so you want to pay attention because the consistency of the masa has to be just right. And there's really perfect. And there's really a special way to assemble them so that they don't fall apart and run all over the pot. So anyway, get ready. This is kind of messy too, but it's fun. Here we go. Go Ducks.
Go Bruins. Okay, now we're gonna assemble the masa. This is what I buy. It's masa. There's a few brands out there. They all pretty much do the same thing. They all have instructions on the back to make your masa. I pretty much follow those instructions, but I like to add my own twist to my own masa because masa is very important to the tamale. You don't want it to be too bland. So again, you're going to follow the instructions that are on the back of the packaging, and you can modify the amount of lard that you put in there because I use about half of what it asks for. That's about 6 cups of masa that I put in there. And then I add my dry ingredients first. So I would say about 2 palmfuls of the parsley. I would say that's probably about 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. Salt to taste. You want to be careful with your salt. You don't want to add too much salt because the worst thing is a salty tamale. The baking powder is for volume. This is about, I would say, about 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. We're going to add about 1 cup of the tomatillo salsa that we made. I like to melt the lard just for consistency. It's just easier to kind of pour everything in at the same time. So this, I'm going to do about 3/4 cup. And so the consistency that you're looking for when you make your tamales is it cannot be too thick. It has to be, as my mother would say, like butter. It has to, soft like butter. It has to, when you put it on the husk, it has to just spread evenly and not lumpy, not clumpy. It's just smooth like butter. If you're doing 6 cups of masa, I would say you're going to at least put 8 cups of water, but I just do it as I go along. So as you can see, that's pretty thick. So I'm going to stop it for a second and get some more water. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn it up a bit. If you have a KitchenAid mixer, it's easier to do it this way, or else your arm is going to get sore. You can see it's starting to fluff up. That's from the baking powder. That's the consistency that I like, when it starts to get fluffy. Okay, so this is the consistency that I'm looking for. I like to see how it falls off the paddle. So we want to put these in the water. Make sure you go through them and clean them, because a lot of times they'll have the fibers from the corn, and you don't want to put that in your tamale. Sometimes they might be a little dirty, These should soak for at least a half an hour, just so they're soft enough to be pliable. I'll give them one last rinse individually, make sure that there's no fibers on there, and then I'll just set them here. When I'm done separating all my husk, I will squeeze them out, try and get as much water out as possible, or you can dry them out. So the front, side, and then the back side. So that way it's easier to put the masa on and it's not going to slip. Now that we have our hojas cleaned and dried, and we have our ingredients ready for the tamale that we're making, which right now is going to be our cheese, spinach with green chili, I'm ready to show you how to assemble. Okay, so your hojas have two sides. This is the smooth side and the rigid side. It has more ridges on it. You're going to want to apply your masa to the smooth side of your tamale. So you can use a paddle, you can use any kind of spatula that you want, whatever's easiest for you to use. And apply liberally because you're going to be spreading it out. So I like to apply, and I push down because I don't like to use too much masa on my tamales. So you keep just spreading it around until your hoja is covered, about 3/4 of the way up. And then once your masa is on there, if you're going to do the cheese and spinach, I like to put my spinach first, and I like to be pretty liberal with my spinach. Then this particular cheese is cheddar and Monterey Jack. You can use any kind of cheese like pepper jack, and if you're going to buy it shredded, I prefer finely shredded. It melts, it seems to melt better. And just about a handful on there. Then you take your tomatillo salsa that you made earlier and just put that on there. And then we're just going to wrap it and twist. Then when you get to the back part, you're just going to fold it down like that and bring the rest of it up. So this is what it's going to look like. And then I like to wrap my tamales in wax paper just because they have a nice presentation. And then the cheese, if it oozes out, it's not going to get everywhere all over your pot. So from the bottom up, from the top down, and then we just fold it over. You can lay them in a dish, standing up or sitting down. But you always want to make sure which direction is the top, which direction is the bottom, because you don't want it to spill over. You don't want to put your tamale upside down in the pot because that would not be good. I'm going to show you some things to use to cook your tamales. You could use a regular stock pot like this. At the bottom of your stock pot you can use a vegetable steamer, and just expand it so it'll expand to the size of the pot. You want to make sure that there is enough water to cover just the top part. You don't want it to come over, because then that will go into your tamale and will make the bottom of your tamale tasteless. So just to here. You could also use a pressure cooker, and in the pressure cooker it has a steam basket, and same thing, you just want to make sure that the water is filled to the very bottom of this, which is about this much water. You want to start it out on high. As soon as the water starts boiling and bubbling, you want to turn it all the way down to a simmer for about 2.5 hours. Do not overcrowd your tamales, because 2.5 hours could turn into 4 hours, and it just takes too long. 2.5 hours is as long as it should take you to cook your tamales. Your cheese tamales might take a little bit less time, but you'll want to check those as you go at 1.5 hours, and then at 2 hours. For those, it shouldn't be more than 2 hours.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the pressure cooker, and I fit about a little over a dozen in here pretty comfortably. You want to make sure that there's room between your tamales so that the steam circulates evenly. You don't want to overcrowd because then it'll take too long to cook. Okay, now that you're done making your tamales and wrapping them, you can store them in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag, and you can label them with the type of tamale that you made or the person's name. However you want to label them is up to you. And then if you're not going to cook them right away, you can freeze them. They freeze beautifully just like this. You just take them out the day before you're going to make your tamales so they can thaw, and just put them in the stock pot or put them in the pressure cooker and cook your tamales for either 2.5 hours in a regular stock pot or 2 hours in the pressure cooker. Okay, so now our tamales are done, and we're just gonna take them out of the wrapper so you can see what they look like. These are the cheese and spinach tamales. So this is the cheese and the spinach tamale with the green chili inside. And it's delicious. Margaret's about to eat the whole thing right now because she couldn't wait to taste this. So enjoy.
Okay, so that's how we make tamales. For you other Mexicans out there who make tamales your way, we're happy for you. Just don't send me any comments and tell me I'm doing it wrong. This is how we make it, and we love it. You can make a couple of dozen and have them that night for dinner, or you can do it like we do and have a tamale making party and send out, I usually send out the recipe ahead of time, and people will make their filling at home, and then we will make the assembly line here and do it all together. And it goes a lot faster. The more people you have, the quicker it goes. So anyway, have a great time making your tamales. We gave you 3 different recipes. Those are our favorite. There's plenty online to make other fillings, so have at it and have a great time. Oh, and